I can sense people watching in the chat and all that. They're like, whoa, this is real. This is serious. The demons do have influence or can try to influence us. What is your counsel? What are the daily norms for the Catholic to prevent us from demonic influence? Yes, have holy water, but can you talk about prayers,
Yeah,
sacramentals? I know this is all in the book as well, but
yeah.
just a daily plan from when you wake up and go to bed, how to protect if you're a dad, your wife and your kids, or just
Right.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is that make sure you're leading a habitual life of grace. Never commit mortal sin. Always stay in the state of grace. Receive the sacraments on a regular basis. If you can get to daily mass, that's fantastic. That will provide a tremendous amount of protection. Getting to confession on a regular basis provides an enormous amount of protection. Okay, so that
How
being said,
often, Father?
well, if you're leading a life of habitual grace, historically they always said once a month. But if you're really trying to advance in holiness, you're probably going to want to go more frequently, just so that you get those extra graces. As far as the particular prayers in the morning, I usually tell people, it's good to, obviously you should make your morning offering. Part of that can actually be for your family's protection. One of the things that we recommend is the Auxilium Christianorum prayers, which you can get online, because it protects you and your family. Parents, to do what you do, Taylor, which is that before you go to bed at night, you should be blessing your children and also saying a binding prayer against any demons that could possibly afflict them. I don't think people realize how much that does, how much freedom and how much you're providing your child in that regard when you're doing that.
And we can do that from a distance too, right? Like if your
That's
children have
correct.
moved out or whatever, you can still bind
That's right.
and bless your children from a distance.
That's correct. And then the other thing is that you can, obviously saying the rosary on a daily basis, Padre Pio referred to it as the weapon against Our Lady.
Every day, right,
You can try
Father? Every day.
every day. You should
Every
be doing
day.
it every day. And I mean, you can get the book Deliverance Prayers for the Laity. Reading more about it by buying my book, you can do that. But I think it's a matter of having that consistent prayer life. Oh, one of the things that we have found extraordinarily helpful to keep diabolic obsession at bay, but also St. Thomas says you cannot overcome imperfections without it. And also all the saints say it's the Teresa of Avila, the one who most enunciated it, is it's the entryway to all the higher levels of prayer is daily meditation.
Mm.
Doing 15 to 30 minutes of daily meditation will keep diabolic obsession at bay, and it makes you much more perceptive when you see things that are disordered or evil.
Okay, so we got daily rosary. We have a daily meditation of at least 15 minutes. We
Right,
have our binding prayers,
right,
avoiding mortal sin, daily mass if you can, confession every 2 to 4 weeks.
right.
Excellent.
That would be just a baseline that I would tell
And then
people.
what
If you're doing
about miraculous medal, scapular?
Oh yeah, using all the sacramentals like holy water, exorcised oil if you can get it. Some dioceses won't allow the lay people to use it, which I don't understand why. They say, well, they're confusing it with the oils that are used for sacraments. I'm like, well, okay, that's a 5 minute catechesis issue.
Right,
you know?
right.
But then also all the other sacramentals having religious art, even talk about that. Crucifixes, the like, having Benedict medals.
What
I
about
even talk about,
enthroning the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart
oh
of Mary in
yeah,
the home?
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
dads
I
can
do.
do that, right?
Yes, they
And
can.
can
They can.
moms without a husband do that?
I think they can because of the fact that by proxy, or not by proxy, but by default, they're the head of the household at that time. There's no one
Right.
else there that's going to do it because the husband has abandoned his headship.
Yeah.
So, but if the husband's present, she should. She should. It obviously has to be deferred to him.
Yeah. 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 All these things. I mean, it's sad because since the 1960s, since Vatican II, a lot of these just standard devotions, it was kind of like you brush your teeth in the morning and at night,
Yeah.
and you wash your hands before dinner. I mean, like basic customs. Well, we Catholics had all these basic customs that were just part of our culture, like praying the Angelus and wearing the brown scapular when you got your first communion and all these things. And it's kind of been lost, and we're having to. So many of us. It's not your fault out there watching. It's not your fault that you don't know these things. It's just we have to relearn
Right.
what it means to be a Catholic.
Yeah. I mean, the Catholic culture, all these things that were part of
Right.
that rich culture have just been lost.
Yeah, totally lost. So, especially for moms and dads listening with their kids, the way you reveal culture is through generational teaching, and that's what kind
That's
of got cut in
exactly
the
right.
60s
Yeah.
and 70s. It was just sliced right there. So we have to sort of rebuild that when it comes to the
Right.
saints' days, devotions, daily rosary,
Right.
scapular, miraculous medal, fasting, Friday fasting, penance, all these things.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we just got to do it. We just no, there's no one that's can do it for us. We have to educate and rebuild this Catholic culture. And
Yes.
thank God we have Father Chad Ripperger and other good priests who are saying these things, these consistent things that we have to live. And I really want that to be a challenge for you. You know, don't, I mean, I guess we do all want to be afraid that we would get possessed. That'd be horrible. But we can
Yeah.
live.
I think obviously Christ said, "Don't fear." Basically says to only fear the one that can actually cast you into hell, which is God ultimately. But yeah, you shouldn't have any fear in relationship to them. And if you're leading a good Catholic life, your odds, like as you've just described, we've just described, if you live that Catholic life in that fashion, your odds of becoming possessed are so astronomical. It's not even to consider in a certain sense.